Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I had been away for work longer than I expected. The last few weeks were a whirlwind of meetings, client calls, and airport lounges, and every time I checked my phone, I saw the same text from Isla. I miss you. Can't wait for you to come home. I smiled at it, of course, but the reality was that I hadn't been able to hold her, to feel the warmth of her hand in mine, or to share in the quiet moments before our lives changed forever. Isla was due any day now with our first baby, and I had promised myself I would be there. I had to be there. The drive to the hospital felt longer than usual, every red light like a personal test of patience. My hands gripped the steering wheel tighter than necessary. I kept repeating her name under my breath, Isla, 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 like a mantra, as if it would pull me through the traffic faster, make me step into the room sooner, make me a part of this moment instead of just a spectator watching it through delayed messages. When I finally pulled into the hospital parking lot, my heart was racing. I parked hastily, running inside like a man on the brink of losing something precious. The scent of antiseptic and the distant beeps of machines were familiar, almost comforting, yet they also made my anxiety spike. I had imagined this moment 1,000 times. Holding her hand, whispering encouragement, feeling the contractions together, being part of every second. But nothing had prepared me for what I saw next. I rounded the corner to the maternity ward, and there she was, lying in the hospital bed, hair slightly mussed, sweat gleaming on her forehead. Yet there was a glow about her that made my chest tighten. Isla looked up, her eyes wide and searching. But she wasn't alone. My heart dropped into my stomach when I noticed her holding another tiny hand. A tiny life I didn't recognize. Isla. My voice cracked, unsure, almost accusing. She turned toward me, a mix of shock and relief flashing in her eyes. Leo, she whispered, and it wasn't just her voice that stopped me. It was the trembling of her lips, the quick blink of tears she tried to hold back. You're here. Yes, I breathed. I'm here. But my gaze kept darting toward the little bundle beside her, wrapped snugly in a soft pastel blanket. And then I saw the face. It wasn't ours. The baby's eyes, the curl of its tiny fingers, the shape of its head, none of it belonged to us. Who is that? My voice was lower this time, steady in a way I didn't feel inside. Isla's hand gripped mine, warm but heavy with tension. This is Milo, she said softly. He's mine too. For a heartbeat I didn't understand. Milo? Mine too? My chest tightened in confusion, a sharp sting that felt almost physical. She saw it in my eyes, and she squeezed my hand. I didn't know how to tell you. I wanted to wait until you were here. I stepped back, trying to process. Wait, what? How? Why? My mind spun, trying to piece together a puzzle I wasn't ready to solve. She took a deep breath, one that trembled with every ounce of emotion. Leo, Milo isn't yours. He's mine and Oliver's. I didn't want to tell you over the phone, not like this. I wanted you here to see everything so it's real. I didn't mean for it to happen this way, but I couldn't hide it any longer. I blinked, trying to find a foothold in the storm that had suddenly ripped my world apart. Oliver, her coworker, her friend, someone I thought I trusted, someone I had never imagined could be part of this sacred space between Isla and me. And now Milo, tiny, fragile Milo, whose very existence was proof of a secret I never saw coming. You're saying? I faltered, my chest tightening as the words got caught somewhere between disbelief and rising panic. You're saying this baby isn't mine? She nodded slowly, tears now slipping freely down her cheeks. I didn't want it to happen, Leo. I swear I didn't. But it did. And I wanted you to know now before you met him. I wanted to be honest. I can't hide this from you. Not anymore. My vision blurred. I wanted to scream, to cry, to shake something. Anything. But instead, I stood frozen, my mind racing. The hospital room felt suddenly smaller, suffocating, like the walls themselves were pressing in. Isla's hand was still in mine, but it felt like a weight I couldn't bear. a tether to something I didn't understand. Milo cooed softly, oblivious to the tension in the room, his tiny chest rising and falling peacefully, a cruel contrast to the turmoil churning inside me. I felt a hand on my shoulder and turned to see Dr. Harper, the attending physician, giving me a quiet nod. "Mr. Griffin, take your time. It's a lot, I know, but everything's fine here. She's safe. The baby's healthy." I nodded, barely registering the words. Everything was fine. That's what he said. But inside, I felt like the ground had shifted beneath me, like the world I had known for the last 9 months had tilted on its axis, leaving me dangling on the edge of something I couldn't yet name. Isla's voice cut through the haze. "Leo, I know this changes everything, and I'm so sorry. I wanted to wait for you to explain in person. I didn't want to text it. I wanted you to be here. Now, please try to understand." I swallowed, trying to keep my throat from burning. My hands were clammy, my heart pounding so loud it felt like it would echo through the hospital halls. Milo stirred, tiny hands reaching out instinctively, and for a moment, I imagined holding him, letting the warmth of new life seep into the cracks in my chest. But this wasn't my baby, not my Milo, and yet, somehow, part of me wanted to cradle him anyway, to protect this fragile life despite the betrayal that weighed like iron in my gut. I turned back to Isla, my eyes meeting hers, searching for some sign, some explanation, some trace of the woman I had loved for years. And I found a fear, guilt, a desperate hope that I could forgive her, a hope that maybe I would. But I wasn't sure I could. I stepped back from the bed, needing space to think, needing air I couldn't find in that room. The hospital lights felt harsh now, too bright, exposing everything I wanted to hide from myself. Isla reached for my hand again, but I hesitated, letting it hover between us, suspended like a question with no answer. "Milo, he's perfect," she whispered. "And I love him. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought maybe—" Her voice trailed off, but I heard the unspoken words. "Maybe you could forgive me. Maybe you'd understand." I shook my head, trying to sort through the mess in my chest. Forgive? Understand? How could I even begin to consider that when the world I had built, every hope I had for this moment, had crumbled before I even held him? I wanted to feel angry, to shout, to throw something, but all I felt was a quiet numbness, a slow sinking that made my knees weak. "You should sit down," I said finally, voice barely steady. Isla hesitated, then lowered herself onto the chair beside the bed. Milo stirred again, tiny eyes blinking, a soft gurgle escaping his lips. I watched him, heart twisting. He was innocent, a life completely unaware of the storm surrounding him. And yet, every glance at that small, perfect face sent a pang of betrayal deeper into me. "Leo," Isla said softly, tears streaming again. "I didn't mean for this to hurt you. I never wanted to hurt you. I love you, I think, just differently now. I don't know how to explain it." I swallowed hard, struggling for breath. "You didn't just hurt me, Isla. You've shattered something I didn't even know could break like this. I came here to see my wife, to welcome my child. And now—" My voice faltered. Words failed me, leaving only a raw ache that I hadn't felt before. She reached for my hand again, more insistently this time. I let her, but it was heavy, weighted with everything she hadn't told me before. I could feel her shaking, trying to anchor herself to me even though the truth of Milo's existence had already shifted the ground beneath my feet. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have waited. I should have told you differently. I was scared." I nodded slowly, eyes fixed on Milo, tracing the curve of his tiny fingers, the delicate line of his cheek. "Scared?" I echoed. "Of what, Isla? Of losing me? Or of losing yourself in the truth?" She couldn't answer, just shook her head. Fear, guilt, and a desperate need for absolution shone in her eyes. And for a moment, I imagined the life we had planned. Sleepless nights, first words, first steps, birthdays and holidays. All of it, now complicated by someone I had never known. Someone whose life was now intertwined with ours in ways I hadn't anticipated. I need a minute, I said, finally releasing her hand. I turned to the window, staring out at the city lights, the streets alive with people unaware of the chaos in this hospital room. The cool glass pressed against my palm as I tried to steady my racing heart. Milo stirred again, and I realized that part of me wanted to hold him, even if he wasn't mine, even if he was a reminder of betrayal. He deserved care, love, warmth. He deserved a father figure, even if it wasn't me. I breathed in, then out, slowly trying to center myself. This wasn't just about hurt anymore. It was about choice. It was about what kind of man I wanted to be, and whether I could rise above anger to find clarity. When I turned back, Isla was quiet, head bowed, cradling Milo carefully. Leo, will you stay? She asked tentatively. Just for a little while? I know it's complicated. I know it's not what you expected. But I need you. And I think Milo needs you too. I hesitated, every instinct screaming at me to walk away, to leave this room, to step out into the night and find solitude. And yet, another part of me, a part one couldn't ignore, wanted to be there, to witness, to hold, to protect, to somehow make sense of a world that had just upended itself entirely. I stepped closer slowly, cautiously, and looked down at Milo. Tiny hands curled around his blanket, eyes blinking up at me. He was new, fragile, innocent, untouched by human fault, untouched by betrayal. And something shifted inside me. Not forgiveness yet, not acceptance, but the first glimmer of understanding that life doesn't pause for heartbreak. That moments like this, fragile and fleeting, demanded presence, even when every fiber of your being screams otherwise. I knelt beside the bed, careful not to startle him, and for the first time, placed a hand lightly on his small chest. Milo cooed softly, and in that sound, the quiet rhythm of new life, I felt a strange kind of peace. A momentary calm that reminded me that some things were bigger than hurt, bigger than betrayal, bigger than anger. Isla reached over, placing her hand over mine again. Thank you, she whispered. Just, thank you for being here. I nodded, unsure what else to say. Words seemed meaningless now, drowned in the weight of the night. The hospital room felt still, suspended between what had been and what would come, and I realized that life, even when shattered, had a way of moving forward. Slowly, painfully, but inevitably. And as I sat there, hand on Milo, watching Isla breathe in the quiet glow of the room, I understood something vital. Love doesn't always arrive as you expect it. Sometimes, it comes wrapped in confusion, in betrayal, in moments that test every limit of your heart. But even then, it demands something from you, courage, presence, and the willingness to face life as it is, not as you imagined it. I wasn't sure what tomorrow would bring. I wasn't sure if I could forgive, or if I could even find my place in this new reality. But I was here. I was present. And sometimes, I realized that was the first step toward finding clarity, toward reclaiming yourself, even when the world around you has changed forever.